And looks like we're about to go live. There we go. Hello, welcome to the live stream. Today we're going over stretching for flexibility. This is going to be a follow along stretching routine. So I'll show you how we're going to do the stretch and then we'll do it together. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat and I'll get to them as quickly as I can. If we haven't met yet, my name is Greg. I have a degree in exercise science and 10 years of experience working with clients to accomplish their health and fitness goals. So if there's anything I can do to help, let me know. What we're gonna start with is a stretch for the muscles in the legs in here. I just actually learned this variation of a stretch this week. I really like it though because it's very beginner friendly. It's good if you're advanced, but even all the way to a beginner level, it's a good stretch. So for this, you'll need a chair. So again, we're going to be stretching the muscles on the inside of the thigh in here. Let me just move my chair into position. Now, any chair will work. I have an office chair. You could do this just as easily with a dining room chair, something like that. What you want to do is sit right at the edge of the chair and then bring your legs wide as you can out to the sides. So we're going to be stretching these muscles in here. You're going to bring your chest straight down towards the ground. Now you can reach down with your hands, but you want to keep that chest up. So I'm not dropping and rounding my spine. I'm keeping my chest up and just leaning forward, feeling that stretch in here in the inner part of your thigh. This is a great stretch for stretching those split muscles while still being supported in the chair. So you can reach down to the ground, hold that stretch for 20 seconds. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. I like this one because you're supported by the chair. So if you're just starting out, you don't have to go quite as far down. You can just go to where you feel that stretch. Or if you're really advanced, the more advanced you are, the lower you can get that chest down to the ground. Just go to where you feel that tension though in your legs, right in the inner thigh. And you can even put your hands here, reach down to the ground, whatever feels more comfortable. Some people like the goal of trying to actually reach down and touch that ground. As long as you keep your chest up as you do it. And relax. Stretch for the inner thigh here. Now we're going to stretch a little bit of the muscles on the outside. So still in that chair. We're going to do what's called a figure 4 stretch. So you're going to cross your leg over the top of your foot with your foot at your knee. And then from here, you're going to bring your chest down towards that knee, feeling a stretch back in here in the side of your hip. If you're just joining us, we're doing a follow along stretching routine. So I would like you to do this, or I would encourage you to do this with me. We're working on flexibility together. That way, if you have any questions, I'm right here to answer them if you need. And bending forward, trying to bring that chest down towards your knee until you feel that stretch up here in the hip. And hold that stretch for 20 seconds. This is a great stretch, especially if you have low back or sciatic pain, as long as it does not cause numbness down the leg or increasing your pain. We're actually stretching the muscle that runs right next to the sciatic nerve. So as we get this to relax, it can actually have, for some people, it can help reduce that sciatic pain. Depends on some people it works, some people it doesn't, because of where their muscle is exactly. And then switching to the other side. So crossing your left leg or the other leg over. This is the leg we're stretching. So you're going to bring your foot up to your knee and then bring your chest down towards your knee, feeling that stretch in this bent leg up here in the hip. And holding that stretch as soon as you feel that tension feeling in your hip, hold right there. If you're just joining us, my name is Greg. I have a degree in exercise science and 10 years of experience working with clients. We're doing a follow along stretching routine, so I encourage you to do this with me. That way, if you have any questions, I'm right here to answer them. But if you want to save these for later, that's okay too. I would encourage you to make stretching part of your day-to-day routine though. It's so much easier to keep flexibility and do a little bit of stretching each day than try and get it back later or do it all at once. A little bit every day does a lot more. It's a lot more beneficial than doing one big block of stretching all at once. And relax. Now for all these stretches, they shouldn't be painful. They should feel tension where you can feel the muscle pulling, but it shouldn't hurt. It should be just before it gets to that pain point. So if anything hurts, back off a little bit of it, or back off a little bit from it, you've gone a little too far. All right. So we're gonna move the chair out of the way. We're still gonna stay down the legs though. If you have anything that you feel like, oh, I could, if you have a activity you would like to do, but feel like you're not flexible enough to do, let me know in the chat. I'd love to hear. It could be something as simple as, hey, when I walk the dog, my calves feel really tight. Just let me know in the chat. And I'd love to hear, what is it you guys run into in your day-to-day life that you feel like flexibility would help with? So we're going to move to the front of the hips now. These muscles that go from the spine down into the thigh. We're going to do what's called a runner's stretch, and we're going to do a standing variation of that. So for the runner's stretch, you're going to put one leg back. This is the leg we're going to be stretching. And then this leg, just a little bit of a bend to it. What you're going to do from here is push your hips forward till you feel a stretch in the front of that back leg, right here in the hip. Runs from the spine down into the thigh, right in here. And if you need to, if you feel like you could go a little further maybe, or you want to increase the amount of stretch you get from this, you can actually take your hand and reach up and over towards the side to increase it, leaning towards your opposite leg. So I'll show you from the front. So you're sort of leaning to the side, so we're increasing that stretch across the front of the hip. So if you already feel the stretch, don't worry, just hold that position for 20 seconds at least. These hip flexors are typically shortened, especially if you are seated in maybe a classroom, maybe you're driving a lot, maybe you're working at a desk. These hip flexors can get tight and can cause pain, sometimes in the low back. Sometimes they make it hard for you to engage your glutes, or they can just get very tight and make it hard for you to move your hips around. Now we're going to do the same thing on the other side. One foot to the back, feet about shoulder width apart on this is about right, and you want both toes pointed in the same direction towards the front. So don't have your leg twisted out like this. Just try and point your toe straight towards the front, and then push your hips forward, feeling a stretch across the front of that back leg. If you have any questions, let me know in the chat. And hold that stretch. Try and breathe as you're doing this. Don't hold your breath. Don't tense up. But try and relax to the stretch. Let that muscle completely lengthen as far as you can. If you're tensing up against it, you're not getting that full length that we are trying to achieve with this stretch for the muscle. Went two different directions with that sentence. And relax. All right, so now we just stretched the front. Now we're going to stretch the back. So, back of the hips, we're actually going to go down to a laying down position. So for this one, you're going to lay down on your back flat against the ground, and you're going to bring your knee up to the front, grab with two hands, and pull your knee up towards your shoulder. You should feel this stretch in the back of your hip, maybe up into the small of your back a little bit as well. We're gonna hold this for 20 seconds. This is a glute stretch. So we're stretching that glute muscle in the back. And switch legs. If you're just joining us, we're doing a follow along stretching routine. I'm Greg, I have a degree in exercise science, and I'm here to help you guys with flexibility. So if you have any questions, let me know in the chat. Right now we are stretching the glutes, holding for 20 seconds static stretches. Static meaning we hold a continuous stretch. We're not trying to move at all during that period, just holding in a stretch position. So this type of stretching is really good for gaining flexibility, but you wouldn't want to do it immediately prior to a workout, because there are some studies that show that it actually will reduce the amount of strength you can produce in the muscle for a period of time after. So this is a good thing to do outside of your workouts. So not before or during, but maybe somewhat after. You could do it during a cool down or later in the day after a workout. But definitely an important part of fitness people often miss is that flexibility part. So improving that flexibility and the tissue resilience and the range of motion of your joints. So a lot of people tend to be tight in at least one spot in their body, probably more. And so that's why I would like to focus in on flexibility to help break up some of that tension and help people move more effectively. So we just stretched the muscles in the back of the hips. Now we're gonna go to the back of the thigh. Now a lot of people know about this muscle. It's called the hamstring, and it's probably the most common pulled muscle I've heard, in my experience anyway. I have known so many people who have pulled their hamstrings. I don't want that for you guys. I've done it before myself. It's not a fun thing. So we want to make sure those hamstrings are flexible and pliable. So what we're gonna do, there's a lot of different ways of stretching the hamstrings. Let me know if you guys have one that you particularly like. I like to do a standing hamstring stretch. That's sort of, it's a semi-side split, but I find it's a lot easier to control than a full-on split. So what we're gonna do, you're gonna have one foot to the front, one foot to the back. We're stretching this front leg here. So what you're gonna do to stretch it is bring your chest forward. Now I don't want you to go reach down towards your toes, because that's actually gonna change the hips, which makes it so we're not stretching that hamstring the same anymore. What you're gonna do is just bring your chest straight forward. Imagine like you're trying to bring your chest over the top of your foot without bending your back. So you should feel an intense stretch across the back of your thigh and hip, and hold that stretch there. Now, if you want to, you can reach out with your hands, reaching straight to the front, but still keep that chest high. If it helps you to visualize it by reaching out forward, that's okay. Just keep that chest up. Now, if you feel like you're a little off balance, you can do this one in a seated position as well. It's going to be the same concept. This leg out to the front, chest up, and then bringing your chest out forward over towards your foot. You should still feel that stretch in the back of the thigh in here, holding that stretch. So still keeping that back straight, hips back, and leg straight as you can. The more you straighten that knee, the more intense that stretch is going to be. If you're just joining us, we're doing a follow along stretching routine, working on flexibility. We're stretching the hamstrings, If you haven't met me, I'm Greg. I have a degree in exercise science and I'm here to help. So join me, we're stretching together. I'm working on my flexibility with you guys, and I hope that you're working on your flexibility too. Trying to help everyone be a little bit more fit and able to move around. All right. Now another stretch I'd like to do is for the calf, which runs right back in here. It actually starts all the way at the back of the knee, going down into the back of the heel. Now for this one, you're going to need either a wall or something stable. I'm going to use a post. I'll show you how to do it with a wall too. So I'll show you it first here so you can see. What you're going to do is walk your feet back using your arms to support yourself against the wall, and you're going to push your heels down into the ground, feeling a stretch in the back of your calf. Okay? Now let me show you from the back. If I was doing it against a wall, I'd just be walking my feet back until I feel that stretch in the back. Now, if you don't feel a stretch, what you can do is lift one foot up and do one leg at a time. That's just fine if you're to that point. If you don't feel comfortable with that, just keep both feet on the ground. Just push both heels down to the ground. Feeling that stretch in your calf. If you want to, or if you feel you're a little off balance, you can put one foot forward and just push one foot down at a time. That's fine too. You should feel that stretch back in here though. Now the larger of a step you take, the more of a stretch it's going to be. Smaller step, less stretch. So adjust accordingly. You want to go to where you feel tension but no pain as you're doing this. So really pushing that heel down to the ground. And same thing on the other side. So let's do this one. I find this actually is probably a little bit more beneficial for most people to have one foot forward, one foot back, pushing that heel down to the ground in the back, stretching the calf. Actually, you don't even need the post with that, I guess. It does let you lean forward a little bit more, get a little more pressure into that calf if you need. But the more forward I am, the more of a stretch it's going to be in my calf. And relax. All right, now let's move to a little bit of upper body stretching. I find that most people are really tight in their pecs. Now, a thing I do to test if people are tight is have someone stand with their hands at their side, take a deep breath in and a deep breath out, and then they look down at their thumbs. If their thumbs are pointed together, usually that means they have tight pecs where this muscle that runs right across here is pulling in and down. That very often leads to sort of a hunched posture where people are not quite upright. You see this sort of hunchback right here. And sometimes that's as simple as just stretching these out, and it can help relieve some of that postural stress. That can even cause low back pain down here. If you think about it, your head's going this way, your low back has to lift up to keep your body upright. And so you can take a lot of pressure off your low back by actually improving what your upper body is doing. So that didn't make sense, don't worry. If you have questions, let me know. Or if you want to discuss more about that, I'd love to hear. If you're like, man, I really want to know more about low back pain and upper spine, let me know in the comments or in the chat. So for chest, you're going to need either 2 posts, a doorway, something like that, where you can put your arms out to the side and put your arms against something. So you need something just like a door So for this, you're gonna put your arms right at shoulder height, and then you're gonna step forward like you're walking through a door. So I'm pushing my arms out to the back till I feel a stretch across here, okay? So this is stretching that pectoral, that chest muscle. You actually have two of them. You have pec major and pec minor. This is more for that pec major, where we open up that chest. Now, some people actually improve their flexibility with this one because they make sure to do a deep bench press where they're working on that flexibility through their bench. I like to supplement my flexibility training with more than just bench press. I like to do this stretch as well because I find the extra bit of flexibility helps. As long as you're not doing partial range movement in your bench press though, you'll gain a little bit of flexibility from that too. And as long as you're not building up scar tissue in your pec by injuring it. That's the other caveat I give to this, is careful about not injuring your muscle because that can limit your flexibility. So holding this and relax. All right, next thing we're gonna do is for the other pec muscle, which is pec minor, which runs from the front of the shoulder down into the rib cage, sort of right across the front of your armpit area, okay? So to stretch that, what we're gonna do is clasp your hands behind your back and you're gonna push out to the back. Now trying to lift your hands up off of your body towards the back. If you can't get them off your body, don't worry. Just push as hard as you can but not into pain. So push to where you feel tension across the front of your shoulder right in here. Again, all these, no pain, but tension feeling. Because if we have tension, we know that we're actually stretching and elongating and changing that muscle. We're training that muscle into the new position. So pushing your hands out to the back, pushing your chest forward, looking up at the ceiling helps with this one, I find. If you're just joining us, we're doing stretching for flexibility. We're working on stretching out the chest muscles. I'm Greg. I have a degree in exercise science and 10 years of experience working with clients. I'm here to help gain flexibility and work. If you have questions, let me know in the chat. So pushing your hands out to the back, feeling that stretch in your pecs. Working that pec minor muscle. And relax. All right. So we're doing a couple more stretches. If you have anything you would like to stretch, or maybe a activity that you feel like flexibility is limiting you in, like maybe pitching a baseball, walking your dogs, anything like that, let me know. I'd love to hear what you find is the thing you want to focus in on in flexibility. So for this next stretch, we're going to make sure I don't hit the fan on this one. So we're going to stretch the lats, which run across the back of your shoulder, all the way down into your low back. They actually go all the way down into your spine. A lot of people think of the lats as an upper back muscle. It is, but it actually attaches all the way down into your low back. So for stretching that, you're going to lace your fingers together, stand with your feet about shoulder width apart, and then push up towards the ceiling. So palms up towards the ceiling and back. So that back movement helps stretch those lats at the shoulder. If your hands are here, you're not getting as much of a stretch. Go towards where you feel that stretch in your lats. You should feel it right in here in that upper back and shoulder. You might feel it all the way down to the lower back though. That's okay if you do. And holding that stretch. So for all these stretches, we're gonna hold at least 20 seconds. You could hold up to 30 seconds or longer though if you'd like. With stretching, I like to hold 20 seconds, and then sometimes if I feel like the muscle's especially tight, I'll do multiple sets of 20 seconds. So I'll do 20 seconds, take a moment, take a break, then do another 20 seconds. And relax. Ooh, I felt that some into my hands actually too on that one. All right, so we just stretched the lats. Now we're going to stretch a little bit more into this muscle back in here. It's sort of in your armpit underneath your shoulder blade. So for this, what you're going to do, I'm going to use a post. Let's go ahead and I'm going to move this actually to this camera. I feel like it's a little bit easier to see. So what I'm going to do is put my hand against either a door frame, a wall, a post. I'd use a door frame if you have one close to you. What you're going to do is turn away from that post, putting your hand right at shoulder height. And then what I want you to do is try and lift your hand up to the back. So you're lifting up off the post. So it's going here and then up off the post. Should feel a stretch back in here in your armpit area. This actually goes right underneath the shoulder blade into the ball and socket joint. So lifting up off the post with your hand, trying to hold your hand up off that post. This is actually one of the rotator cuff muscles called the subscapularis or subscap. And this can get tight underneath that shoulder blade because it's not a movement we typically do. So we're stretching that into that shoulder. It can actually relieve tension in your shoulder to do this. So really trying to open up that shoulder. Deep breath in, deep breath out. And same thing on the other side. Putting your hand right at shoulder height, so your elbow should be right at your shoulder level. Turning away and then lifting the hand up off the post, lifting up to the back. Now you could do this without a post, but I find it's a lot harder to control the movement. I definitely recommend using a post or a door frame. If you don't have either of those, a wall can work. So if you were to be right in the corner, put your arm against a wall, lift up the hand up off the wall, where your elbow is right up against it. All right. There we go. So we're going to end with 2 more stretches. We've got stretches for these muscles here in the neck. So the first thing we're going to do is for these muscles that sort of form a V in the front of your neck. It's called the sternocleidomastoid. So for that, you're going to bring your chin and point it up towards the ceiling, and then gently press up with your fingertips until you feel that stretch right here in the front of your neck. And then holding for 20 seconds. Should feel good, it should not be painful. If it's painful, back off a little bit. Just go to where you feel light tension in your neck. And now we're going to stretch the other side. We always want to stretch muscle, or we want to work and stretch muscles in pairs, because muscles are actually paired up where you have one side of the has one muscle, the other side is a different muscle, and if they're not in balance, then one can be really tight, one can get really stretched out, and then you typically have pain or difficulty in that joint because of that. So we always do muscles in pairs. So we just stretched the front. Now we're going to stretch the back. These muscles run from the back of the skull down into your spine. So what you're going to do is bring your chin to your chest. Now, it's important you're not going down and forward. You're trying to bring your chin into your chest, okay? You should feel a stretch back here in the back of your neck. These muscles back here. If you want to, you can grab the back of your head and gently pull down. Hopefully I'm not deafening anyone. I know my mouth is pretty close to the mic right here. I know it's peaking a little bit. I'll try and talk a little bit softer so I'm not blowing out anyone's eardrums. So gently pulling down on the head, stretching the back of your neck. Now I find this one's really good if you have neck tension. Holding for 20 seconds. I do this one regularly to help reduce headaches. Not all headaches are caused by neck tension, but I find this is a really good proactive stretch to do for the headaches I have. And relax. All right, so if you enjoyed this sort of content and want to see more, what would really help the channel grow and help reach more people to be able to help more people is if you would hit share with a friend that you think could benefit from this. From doing stretching, flexibility, learning these sorts of things. So I've been streaming every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Pacific time. Love to see you guys back here next week. Sometimes we do streams at other times, so watch out for the channel. Currently I have no set times other than Wednesday at 2, but I'd love to see you guys back here, and